Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot. If you tuned into my video, my pick a card video at the beginning of this month, the 1st of September, about who connects with you in your dreams, you will have heard me make the announcement that, for those who are familiar with my channel, that I was moving from posting pick a card readings every second day to every third day. And one of the reasons that I wanted to do that was I wanted a little bit of time in between those scheduled readings that I do and I plan for well in advance to do either different sorts of videos like tarot discussions, tarot topics. I'll be publishing some videos about the sorts of indie decks I use for different sorts of readings as one example, but also to allow for some additional picker cards that might come up occasionally, very quick check-in type readings about either a very quick but important astrological transit, or if I get called by spirit to raise an issue or to check in on some particular aspect of life. It allows me to do that and possibly do readings as this particular set will be, that are a little bit quicker than the ones that I normally do, but really get to the point on a particular issue. Now, as you will have seen in the description for this video, this is about the new moon that's coming up in Virgo on the 7th of September. So I'm posting it around the 5th of September to give a little bit of a lead time in. And the inspiration for this came from another astrological site that I found on YouTube. So this is a different one again to one I've spoken about before. I kind of have been looking for some good astrology sites because, for those of you who don't know, my mother was an amateur astrologer and my brother was a professional astrologer, but unfortunately for me, both my mother and brother have passed on, so I have been looking for a good astrologer or set of astrologers to follow. So as a part of that, sometimes I come across a channel and I come across a video that's very inspirational. So in this case, I came across one from a channel run by Ablas, Roland Legrand. I hope I've pronounced his name correctly. And he was doing a video on the new moon for the 7th of September and what he saw coming from that, and also as that separated out and the moon moved on, what other aspects were being triggered. And it was really interesting what he was saying, because this new moon on the 7th of September, and he said the influence for this pretty much starts about 30 hours before it hits, so around about from sort of later on the 5th of September into the 6th of September. It's balanced across the zodiac with Neptune in Pisces. It's a little bit too wide to be an actual opposition, but it is nevertheless a kind of a balancing fulcrum, I would almost say, in the broader astrological chart. And as it progresses, this Neptune is in fact opposite Mars. So as the moon moves forward and touches Mars, it's almost as though, to me it felt like there was almost, if this was Neptune here, there was almost the moon going through a pattern to get to Mars, and it felt very much like an arrow. And what he was saying about this was Neptune is all about the spiritual, the bigger picture, the unconscious, the unknown, all of those sorts of things. And then a Virgo and new moon is all about detail, information and so forth. And Mars is about decisions and often about our reactions to things. And he felt that this was going to trigger for some where they will get information that possibly changes their mind about something, confirms something they've suspected, really shifts their view on something, and maybe in some cases may make people feel that they've been misled in some way. There just seems to be a possibility around uncovering information that shifts your perspective or confirms it, and that helps you make a decision. And what he seemed to be saying, and look, this was about a 30-minute video and it was a lot of detail, and I really recommend going and having a look at it. But what he was saying is that then as the moon moves on, it comes up to Mercury, that's also in Virgo, and that's in a very beneficial aspect to the black moon Lilith, and that brings things up from the depths again, out from the darkness, so you see things. So that's information and detail, and then it moves on to other benefic planetary connections that would make decision making a good prospect and a very sound prospect after that. So this is as I say, me extrapolating a very detailed, very insightful reading down to why I wanted to do this reading. Because if I was to take any key message away from what he was saying, it's that during this new moon, you may learn something, or you may start to get a sense of something and really look into it, but it may be premature to make a decision. Wait a few days, let some of these more benefic energies come through. But given that, I thought it may be really good to do a quick check-in type reading about what energies, what information, what areas of your life might this detailed version of Virgo with the higher levels perspective balance of Neptune in Pisces, what might that give to you, and what might be the advice of spirit in terms of what you might want to look into in more detail, what you might then want to contemplate, so that then you feel very much on solid ground in making decisions. I'm going to do quite quick readings here, quicker than my normal readings. So we'll look at what the issue might be, clarify with what Spirit's advice might be about that at a high level, and then use a few oracle cards to just get a bit more information. So I think most of these readings will probably only be 10 to 15 minutes long. For that reason, I have 4 options. For some reason, and this is probably because I'm a bit of a IT Luddite, when I tend to do 4 longer ones, I seem to have a higher propensity to somehow have videos corrupting. So I'm trying to keep my video length to no more than about an hour and a half in total. So this allows me to do quicker readings, and therefore 4, and hopefully the video will export correctly and you'll be getting to see it. So that's why there's 4 for this, but they will be quicker than usual. For that reason, you may want to choose more than one pole, because it may be that there are 2 aspects of something, or even 2 areas in your life you'd like to explore. So that's up to you. I'm using the chakra placement stones. So on pile 1, there's the heart chakra. Pile 2 is the throat chakra. Pile 3, the third eye chakra. And pile 4, the crown chakra. As I always say with the placement stones, that does not mean that's all about the heart, that's all about communication, that's all about telepathy and psychic energy, and that's all about connecting to the divine. I don't know what cards are under there, I don't know what tarot would show. I just thought they were pretty important sort of energies, chakra type energies for this sort of reading. So if the chakra energies help you choose, that's great. If the colour helps you choose, that's great too. Whatever works for you. The timestamps, as always, will be in the description box below. And when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So these first cards are to give a sense about what is the area in your life or issue in your life that you may be now focusing on with that Virgoan moon detail-oriented approach, and then balancing that with the higher level perspective. And there's 2 possible scenarios here, I think, depending upon who's come to the reading. One is that there may be something, you may come into some information over this period of time, or you may have had a suspicion that starts to be confirmed about someone who has not been honest with you about something, and that you've been resisting maybe that information because to know it would make a major change in your life, or you fear that it would. So this could be in a personal relationship, it could be in a friendship, it could be in a work situation. Why I'm saying that is we've got the Queen of Water or the Queen of Cups reversed, which is things about emotional authenticity. When it's reversed, it often isn't that way. There's often something that's not quite clear. We have the Death card, which is a choice, and then we also have the Tower card, both reversed, which suggests there's something around believing in someone or not believing in someone that maybe you've been resisting looking at, and there is some information that is going to bring clarity to that, and is probably going to, if this is the case, bring to the surface with the 7 of Air or 7 of Swords reversed something that was not honest. The good news is that we have the 3 of Fire or the 3 of Wands. So it's not, for a start, whatever the change is will not be as major as you expect. If it's something that you find out that somebody hasn't been honest with you, it may well be you can still find enough in that connection and enough resolution. They may even, you may even have somebody admitting to you something, admitting they were wrong in something, admitting that they haven't been totally honest or something like that. And that actually allows for the connection to continue and for the change not to be that major. But even if it is finding out somebody has been duplicitous in some way, and it could be for some of you, you will find the decision is not as hard to make as you think and is not as major. It's almost as though if this is around a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship. It could be either. I'm feeling a lot of this is more around friendship than romance, but it just depends on who's come here. It feels to me like you either resolve it or you've really been separating from them already. You just haven't kind of cut the knot, so to speak, and this allows you to do that and allows you to realize that the change is not as big as you think. Now, it's very interesting in a way that we have the Tower reversed and then I say the Three of Fire over there, because that feels like the combination of the incremental change with the Virgo moon, the detail and so forth in this astrological energy, and the Mars energy here. And balancing it out is picking up some of that advice that the astrologer in the video talked about, which is not jumping to conclusions, not sort of making decisions until you're ready. So the fact that death is reversed is good here. I think it shows that you are being very sensible about this, but definitely you are going to find something out. Now, the other way of reading it is that you know on some level about something true to yourself that you haven't been truly honest with yourself about something. You've been resisting a change or a movement in your life in some way, because there's almost like the old you and you want to hold on to the old you, but the new you is waiting and starting to be born. Again, the good news, if that's the case, is if you let this energy go through, I think the clarity that comes through with the later aspects within the chart generally allows you to realize that the change is more incremental and you can move forward with much more assurance. So that's very positive. I'm going to ask Spirit for 3 cards around their advice for you about this, and then we will have a look at the oracle cards as well too. And this might help us work out whether the majority of people who've come here, it's about another person or if it's about an internal thing for yourself. So I do get the sense for most of you is probably someone else. And the reason I say that, firstly, is we have the Knight of Fire, which is like the Knight of Wands. I feel like that's another person in this. This person is of a fiery temperament, is very much act first, think later. And so it may well pick up this energy of almost an apology. It may be someone who acted without thinking about the impact on you in some way. And I feel like with Sagittarius next to it, that's a fire energy as well too, because it's a fire sign. This is temperance, but the temperance part of the tarot gives balance, like bringing balance back in. You may feel the need to withdraw a bit for a while, though. Once you hear this, you need to think it through. And again, I think that's using the energy well, because that's like the four of air is the Four of Swords, and that is a withdrawal. It is a time to contemplate. So this feels to me like someone is going to come to you and apologize for something or tell you something you've suspected, maybe they've denied. And I don't feel like it's necessarily a major life-changing thing, but it allows you to make a decision around how you want to structure that friendship or that relationship, whatever it is, going forward. And you've really done more work than you think that you've done. And when you start to look in the detail of it and you start to look at some of the things that you've done instinctively over time leading up to this, you'll realize in a way you knew all this. You really did. You've got a very finely tuned antenna for interpersonal relationships and for the dynamic there. And so I feel as though this is saying that whatever relationship this is in, you will be proven right, but it feels as though there wasn't ill intent, and it feels as though with quiet contemplation you can move through this energy really well. And I do think in many cases retain the relationship, but if you don't, if you decide that through the Four of Swords to withdraw altogether, then that will be the right decision for you. It may be you need to make that decision when you have enough information. That's why the Death card is reversed. You need to make the decision when you have the information and you've contemplated it, so that you do the truest thing for you. So let's have a look at the oracle cards. So firstly, I wanted to ask for some creative energy around this, because in this whole energy of balancing the detail with the bigger picture, that has a very creative feeling to me. So it's what energy do you want to create so that the decision that you make coming out of this, as the other aspects come into being, is the best one for you. Okay, so I think that this is Spirit really linking in with that sense that there's something unknown, there's something that you need to know that is going to emerge. So this is an energy of sort of coming out and understanding. It feels to me as though, yes, you have had more of a worry about the impact of this and how much change it's going to be, and you've maybe withdrawn out of this situation because of it. That may be what brings a person forward to actually make the apology or make the admission, whatever it might be. But this is allowing you, once you actually have the information, to emerge and be comfortable with the unknown. Because I think what you're going to find, Pile 1, is that, as I say, you're much more finely attuned than you're giving yourself credit for, that you're much more comfortable in the unknown. So that energy that follows in the next few days from this new moon, when the dark moon Lilith is actually connected, that's really good. That you will emerge from that energy with a lot more information and being able to make the decision that you need to make. So what's the question that maybe is important to ask in all of this? So you have Parvo, and each of these cards has a question, and the question says, what if you had to close your eyes to see clearly? And now that's really interesting around this as well too, and I think it's saying again what I have felt, the energy that I've felt around this Pile 1 is that you are highly intuitive, probably very psychic. Your sense about the dynamics in interpersonal relationships is off the charts. You may be empathic. You're someone who can read a room incredibly. And I think sometimes that's frightening for you. I think sometimes when you get a niggling feeling that something's not completely authentic, not completely honest, and you really don't want to see that, and you know it ahead of time, it's kind of like thinking, please let that not be a psychic thing. Please let that not be right. But the reality is, whatever this is going to come out, and you're going to know how to manage it and make decisions without it really being as uprooting as you might think. It's either resolvable if it's a very close relationship, or if it's a friendship, then you can either reconstitute that or you can move away from it without really uprooting too much in your life. But this is all about you understanding how on point you are. This is an opportunity for you to realize that you very much pick up psychically what's going on and you get the detail of it. It's like intuition is very rapid thought. It's like our brains pick up all sorts of stimuli and information much faster than our conscious mind works, and that's where we get that gut feeling from. So this is saying this is very, very true of you, and this is a time for you to start to realize how true it is of you. So as I said, this is only going to be a quick reading. I want to close out with some Astro Chakra cards to get also information about how to bring everything into balance. Once you start to move through this period, and particularly when you're moving into the more benefic sort of placements that are coming up in the next week or so, what are the chakra energies that you need to think about and balance? Okay, so the first one is about you owning who you are. So this is the third chakra. This is the solar plexus. This is your sense of personal empowerment, self-actualization, that sort of thing. And we have Uranus with that chakra. So that chakra is always about power in some way, and this is non-conformist. So this is saying an individuality. This is saying you're allowed to be who you are. This is telling me that maybe what you're going to find out is that someone has been too controlling or been too much trying to tell you what to do or how to behave or what it means to be in this group or this friendship circle or something like that. And again, it's probably because they act before they think. But there is something in this space for you to own your own inner knowing and your own power, and the fact that that does make you very individual, and it's okay to be non-conformist. You have a very creative way of processing some of this, so it may be that for some of my Pile 1, writing poetry, writing music, painting, something like that starts to bring some of this up for you. It may be a way to access that information. It certainly gives you a high degree of energy, and it's a very good sign, I think, that creativity, the sacral chakra, is connected to Mars. That is suggesting to me that when the moon gets to Mars, and sometimes when that happens with these sort of aspects, people can be accident prone or can act too quickly. You are not likely to do that. You are likely to go into a creative zone where you really start to understand the information that's coming to you. And then there is love. There is the heart chakra. Your heart chakra is open and it is ready for the transformation with Pluto. So the transformation with the Tower reversed you were afraid of, you're going to realize it's not what you thought it was. And you'll have this deep sense, as this says, of gratitude that the transformation in whatever way it is works really well for you. So pile one, I think you are going to find out something about somebody. If this was about you, then it's within your own transformation and you work out some of your own patterns and how to deal with them in a different way, maybe creatively. But I think for most of you, this is about your inner knowing about other people, a sense you've had about a relationship or maybe a group of people around you. There is information coming to the surface. It is going to be confirmed in some way, but you will go through the transformation of this in a very, very positive way. So I think that it was important for you to hear this and check in, because whatever this is might be a little bit shocking, and it might be a little bit frightening for you to realize how accurate you are with this stuff. That can be a little bit frightening if you haven't realized that kind of psychic, precognitive, reading the room, empathic ability that you have. But it's ultimately a very positive thing for you. So I hope that you enjoyed that reading and that it really gives you some good advice from Spirit for this period of time. And if so, please like the video, subscribe, etc. And hopefully I'll see you in future readings. Welcome, pile two, to your reading. These first cards are to give a sense about what is the issue or the area in your life where the new moon in Virgo and the other various aspects that are around in the broader chart at the moment could be bringing to you in terms of information, clarity, requiring a decision or a balance of detail versus the bigger picture and so forth, as I described in the introduction. For you, this looks as though there is something in your life, and it feels to me like an emotional pattern or a creative pattern, almost a life direction type of issue rather than necessarily an individual relationship, though it could be around an individual relationship of some sort. But there is something with the Hanged One here that you have felt a delay on, or you felt stuck on. Something that isn't really working out, something creative, something you're trying to bring into being. And with the Wheel of Fortune next to it, it does suggest you're going to head into a luckier cycle, but you may have felt for a while, what is delaying that luck? What is delaying that manifestation? Is there a sacrifice I need to make? And one of the things that the astrologer in the video I talked about is that Neptune sometimes brings with it, particularly in Pisces, a sort of sense of sacrifice as well. So you're very tuned into this, and particularly the Neptunian stuff. So it looks as though one of the things you're going to be considering is to move forward on whatever this is, and it feels creative or something in your life path more than anything else. You do need to let go of and change old emotional patterns and what you used to define as happiness, because we have the 10 of Cups reversed, we have the 6 of Cups reversed. Those two together suggest maybe the attitudes that you inherited from your family about what it was to be a good person or to be following your life path or to be emotionally happy. There's something in that past patterning that you are going to look at and maybe let go. And the beauty about that with the 4 of Water or 4 of Cups reversed is that is very releasing for you. If the 4 of Water was the right way up, it would feel like it was caught very much here with the Hanged One. Like there's some sort of issue in your life, and it could be a relationship, as I say, it could be connections with your family. But I do think for many of you, it's maybe a creative or spiritual expression. And it's realizing now, looking at the detail, looking at your life, looking at the decisions that you tend to make, looking at what is actually natural to you as opposed to whatever that programming in the past is, you're really going to start to see that the only person in the way of your manifestation is you. A different perspective on this, letting go of things that are no longer working for you or maybe never worked for you, but were just what you were kind of taught to believe or do. That is going to really liberate you in this period of time. It feels very internal. It feels like meditation. It feels like contemplation is the energy here. It doesn't feel like you're going to make a precipitous decision. So I think some of the energy around the Mars part of this is not too much of a concern for you, and that probably has to do with planetary positions in your own chart compared to what's going on in the broader heavens at the moment. But it certainly has a really good, liberating, free-flowing feeling to me. It feels like a dam being unstuck in some way, and that brings through fortune. It stops you from being stuck in some way. So let's ask Spirit for a few more cards just to sort of clarify what their advice is to bring this into being. Like if the Virgo moon, because the Virgo moon is very earthy and this is very water, this is much more like the Neptunian energy in Pisces. So you have no problem really with the flow of emotion. So what in particular maybe the Virgo moon might give you the clarity? What advice would Spirit give you around that for this period to move as quickly as possible towards the Jupiter energy of the Wheel of Fortune there? Okay, so here we get some of the earth and also air, so air and earth for the Page of Swords. We also get earth with the Three of Pentacles, Mars in Capricorn in that case, and then we have some fire energy reversed. What this is telling me is that by looking at material decisions and the material foundations that you have in your life at the moment, and the information that comes to you that appeals to your mind, to your learning, but learning that you've done yourself, not necessarily what other people have taught you, but learning that you've done yourself. And I get a sense of, like looking on the internet and researching certain things. There's something in this where your creativity or your life path, you will be in the process, and you have been, I think, of finding out what that truly is, and on an intellectual, philosophical sort of level. But it does require you, with the Four of Fire or the Four of Wands reversed, to move away from some emotional patterns and maybe some people. It may be a friendship circle around you is no longer right. It may be the workplace you're in is no longer right. It may be that you can retain the friendships or the connections, but you just need to detach from them to make it much more something that is philosophical rather than something that is in the heart and in the kind of passionate energy you have, because you do have a lot of creative energy and you are incredibly empathic. So it's hard for you to detach. But really, this is saying that the things that you can materially manifest, going back to that, look at the balance of the planning and the structure and what you have a true foundation in. And it's also saying don't underestimate how far you've come. You really do have a firm foundation to move forward. The only thing you needed to do was to be more almost iconoclastic, to be more individual, to really say, at the end of the day, this has to suit me. And if that does cause some disruption around friendships or even around family, that's fine. I don't get a sense of a major breakup. I do get a sense maybe in friendship or work circles you may distance yourself a bit to find people that are more in line with what you're trying to do. But I like to see the air and the earth there, because this at the moment is saying probably when the new moon first hits, you'll be very feeling this a lot. There'll be a lot of emotion around it, but there's a cathartic feeling to that for you, I think. So that then allows you to make the philosophical and material decisions about where to put your energy. So let's have a look at the oracle cards that were there. So interestingly enough, there's quite a creative feeling here and a creative sense here as well, I think, about, for many of you, this might be about something creative you're doing or something in your career or, as I say, your life path. So two of the cards that I intuitively pulled for this, for the reading that were under the chakra placement zone, are from a oracle that is about creativity, because I was looking at the creative energy. What do you create coming out of this astrological energy? Okay, so this is saying contemplation. This is this period of time, I think. This is the contemplating what is emotionally resonant to you and what isn't. Because once you work that out, you'll know what to let go of and what to move forward with. And you'll understand the mechanisms, I think, around whatever feels like it's making you feel stuck. Once you've done that, do know with that Three of Pentacles that you have put the foundations in. Then you can persevere. You will have recalibrated what you are doing so that it's not so much what other people have said or what's expected of you, but what is true to what you want to do. And then you persevere. If you persevere and you have the philosophical view of that and the planning, then you can really bring this into being, and you can bring those benefic energies into being. So what's the question that Spirit thinks that you should ask at the moment? Now that's interesting. You've got Virgo, so it's a Virgo moon, and then you've got Neptune up there with the Hanged Man as well too. This is very much showing you are very in tune with this particular astrological energy. And the question for it is, what if you were sovereign unto yourself? So there you go. That's exactly what this is talking about. You will find the emotional through line for you. You will find it, and you are so much closer to manifesting what you want to manifest than you think. And if you do have any of the anger that is around this particular astrological energy, I think it will be more potentially internally focused about, oh, if I'd realised this, I wouldn't have wasted my time with worrying about what other people thought. But just let that go. It doesn't matter. It's just a learning. It's just a lesson for you. You are going to access this free-flowing energy much more because you'll become sovereign unto yourself. So pile 2, I want to finish off with some astro chakra cards to see what sort of things astrologically and in terms of your chakra system are good to bring into balance to bring this about for you. Okay, so I'm actually going to jump over there first because I think it connects back to the Neptunian, this sort of like the source energy, the spiritual energy. What you need to do and what is true to you must be true to your spiritual beliefs, your calling, your vocation in some way, because this is talking about the 7th chakra, which is that the crown chakra, direct connection to source, and the sun is there. So who you are is about that. Like if you know that's why I think I had the feeling right at the beginning, this is like a life path in whatever way that you do it. And it could be creative with that, as I said before, but it doesn't have to be. This is about you being true to your spiritual beliefs and your spiritual connection, because it is part of what your life path is. It connects you to source. And that brings great power. It strengthens you. This is the 3rd chakra, the solar plexus chakra, the chakra of self-actualization and empowerment. And you have Pluto there. Pluto is about transformation. This is, you are going through, I'm getting a sort of vision of a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis. You are going through a profound transformation, and the transformation is telling you more of who you actually are. You've done most of the work for this actually, but you've just been stuck until you got that last bit of really understanding this is about being true to you, that it's about serving your purposes, not everybody else's. You're probably incredibly kind actually with the Neptune up there with the hangman, with that kind of thing starting off. You probably are self-sacrificial a lot. This is saying don't sacrifice that. Sacrifice the old attitudes. Own your own power. And then creativity, again with the sun. So you get the sun twice. There's something creative about you. That's the sacral chakra. For some of you, I'm getting, it could be about moving into redefining yourself into parenthood, for instance. And it might be sacrificing certain things emotionally around chasing your own career, but in becoming yourself in another way. That's very specific, but I'm getting it could be the case for some of you. But if that's the case, it's got to be because that's what you feel at the moment. That's what you feel called to do. For other people, this is about something creative you've already started, and it is really worth considering and contemplating and understanding that this isn't just whatever this project is. This is something much bigger for you, and there are a lot of really great energies around it for you. So pile 2, I'm pretty excited for you. I think this looks really, really positive, and I don't feel like you're going to go into that sort of anger thing or act precipitously. It looks to me as though you are going to flow through this fairly easily, but you're going to start to realize just how much you've got already in your kit bag, things that you maybe really didn't credit yourself with. And I think that's a beautiful step. I think we can stay in wonderful and loving and caring relationships, but we do also need to be sovereign to ourselves. And I think that there's something in this period of time that really brings that to the surface for you. So I hope that resonates for you, and I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if it does resonate. Love to hear about that because I feel a really positive energy from it. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Welcome pile 3 to your reading. So this first line of cards is meant to give me a sense about what's the energy, the area where maybe information is coming to you, or you'll uncover, or you'll explore in more depth, and then need to balance with the bigger picture during this period of time. It looks to me, there's 2 ways that these cards could be read. One is around a relationship. It looks with the 3 of Swords reverse, it suggests there's been a breakup, whether it's recent or whether it's longer term a while ago and you're still processing through stuff. It certainly looks as though if it hasn't happened yet that you feel alone within a relationship with the Five of Pentacles, but because it's reversed, you're coming out of that. And it looks to me as though you are establishing potentially, or a new energy is coming in for a new passion, a new relationship. But it's because the thing that finally completely breaks you with the past is with the moon reversed, you are going to hear something, I think. You're going to understand something. And I think it's more about the behavior of an ex, if this is the case, than it is around anything else. I feel like something's going to come to the surface that finally cuts the cord, finally, and lets go of the pain and lets go that sense of being alone, because there is a sense of something much more stable either in your life now, or that resolution and that understanding brings that energy in. Now, of course, with the astrological energy that we're talking about, when you hear something like that, particularly as I think you're coming up like the King of Fire here, so that's the King of Wands, there is the potential with that Mars energy to get angry and to sort of like want to hit back at this person who's hurt you before. I think that would not be a helpful energy for this. I think it's just to consolidate for you that you are so much bigger, you are so much more than this person before, by the looks of things, that you are so much the right person, and you're very charismatic, you're drawing energy in to make you feel less alone. So concentrate on what is very earthy. There's Three of Pentacles, the foundations that you're putting in your life, so that when this information comes, it's sort of like, oh yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me at all. Of course that person was like that, and that's why it's good that I've moved on and I shine so much brighter than them. The other way of reading this is potentially not about a personal relationship, but maybe a work relationship. And it looks to me, if that's the case, that you may have either recently left or you may be considering leaving a workplace, maybe because it's your time to move up the ladder and to move maybe from working, and maybe even working from home at the moment. It might be moving back into the workplace and into a new position, given that so many people have been working from home because of the lockdown. But there's definitely a sense of, if that's the case, that you're moving into something where there is more people around you and you have more responsibility based on what you've done. But if that's the case, you're going to hear something about this team or something about the workplace. Something's coming to the surface and you will be called upon to deal with that and lead it. So I think there's two different types of energies for this, two different types of people that have come to the reading. So I think it's either very work related and around team leadership and dealing with something that's been painful and coming to the surface around work, or it's you are ready for the new relationship. You're going to find out something that really confirms to you that you were right to break up with the last person. So let's ask Spirit for some clarification, some further information and advice about how to deal with this. I mean, I think this looks really good. I really feel strongly you're the King of Fire here. I feel like it's very much you're the King of Wands, very charismatic, very, very secure in yourself now. But maybe when you hear this, a little bit hot-tempered, so it's just be aware of those energies. This one definitely wanted to come out, as did this one. Okay. So one more card, please, Spirit. Okay, I think this is, well, I'll go first to the work because that's the first thing that really sort of struck me when I looked at this. This does look to me as though you are moving into a different sort of role, or there's a different opportunity coming up. It's coming up twice. So the Four of Earth or the Four of Pentacles reverse, moving from something that maybe you've sort of held on to because you weren't sure about what was next. And then there's this movement, this uprush of energy. So I do think for many of you, you may hear about or move into a new role around this time. And I think it's a very positive one. But you may not feel strong enough for it to start with. You may be doubting yourself a bit, and you might think, was this out of the frying pan into the fire, particularly if there's something about this new environment that you go into that you hear. But I think the thing about Neptune here, because Neptune is connecting with the moon in Virgo, is that higher order perspective, which you're going to be called upon to do, because for some reason you have a leadership role in this way, whether it's technically one in sort of organisational structure terms, or whether it's just that there's something in your nature that makes you a natural leader. You are up to it. You are. Don't hold on to old visions of yourself as being smaller than you are. You are. And it may be that something you find out is that you should have potentially had this opportunity before, and maybe somebody did the wrong thing by you, and so it's been a bit delayed on some level, but you're moving into it. But don't let that disturb your sense of strength, because you're meant to be moving into this. You are stronger than you're giving yourself credit for. And that's one of the things to contemplate in this period of time. If it's around the relationship, then I think it's simply saying that there could be a little bit of pushback from this person. Maybe they're still hanging around. Maybe they're trying to make you feel it was your fault. It's not your fault. They were somebody who tried to manipulate. So I think this is just saying that the different and higher level perspective makes you understand even more why you were right to do what you did. So I think that's good. But you could, again, feel a little bit irritated about that, and not without reason. But having said that, I think that, you just have to back yourself, because you're here now. You're so much further advanced than this other person. And any kind of spite or stuff that you're hearing about it just let it be water off a duck's back, because really you are so much more ahead. And I do think there's a new relationship coming in. You're drawing in much more positive energy. So let's have a look at the oracle cards. So the first of the oracle cards that I pre-pulled for this particular reading is from a deck that is about creativity, and I wanted to use that because I feel that there's something quite creative in the balance between detail and the bigger picture. To me, there's almost, and also that thing about moving, the moon moving to that good aspect to the black moon Lilith and going into the void and what comes out of it. I just feel there's something very inherently creative about that, and this feels like you creating yourself, either from the phoenix-like rising from the ashes from an old relationship, or into a new sense of yourself in your career. So let's see what cards came up. That's interesting. So we've got intention firstly. So I think that very much, again, picks up that sense of you moving into a higher order level and focusing your attention, focusing all that creative and fiery energy towards what you want. And if you are moving into a higher level position, for instance, or if you do find out some stuff, then being of good intention and being of good ethics is going to be really important, and I think is why people will look to you as a leader. But depending on what this information is, you may have to hide your light under a bushel a bit. It might be that you have to be careful about how you navigate this environment. It might be that what you'll find out is you elevate to a particular level and one of your peers is someone who's not to be trusted. So there's a sense here of be careful about who you show who you are. I think certainly the team that you're with, the people who are looking to you for leadership, you will need to, but you are really advanced, and sometimes it's a little bit good to be underestimated in those circumstances so that people don't see you coming, so to speak. So I think there's a little bit of a thing there, and particularly during this period. And if you've found something out, then maybe you don't show how much you know. Maybe that's your ace up your sleeve, so to speak. If this is around relationship, I think what it's telling me is that you should be staying focused on a new relationship and not give away too much to this ex. If they're trying to sort of niggle at you and get you to be in a conversation, just don't let them. And don't let them know about the new relationship around you either. Just kind of give yourself a little bit of camouflage. Let yourself sort of melt out of the scenery, so to speak, so that you just neutralize that energy before it even gets started. So what question does Spirit think that you should ask during this period of time? So you've got, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Ophiuchus by the looks of things. And I'm going to have to pick this up because the writing on this is sometimes very small. So the question is, what if just because you can doesn't mean you should? Okay. I think that's picking up the camouflage thing here. I think, well, for a start, I think possibly an ex might start hanging around you and want to get back together again. But that doesn't mean you should do that. And I do think you're going to find out stuff that will make that very clear for you. But I also think that you may be able to kind of get one back at that person, or in a workplace you may be able to sort of really take a lot of control in a situation. But it doesn't mean you have to do that. This is where the camouflage works. Maybe it's just disengage a bit. I think in that workplace you'll need to take a role on, but you don't need to get involved in the politics of it. Let all that drama play out, because in a lot of ways it's got nothing to do with you if it's in the workplace. You just need to kind of step back and not fight any battles except the ones that are the right ones for you to fight, the ones that are about your intention, the ones that are about what's true and ethical and good to you. And as I say, in a relationship, just because you could could potentially get back at them or get back with them, doesn't mean you should, because really you should be focusing on the better energy coming in. So to help you with that and to close out the reading, I have some Astro Chakra Synergy System cards just to sort of get final advice from Spirit about what to do in this period. Okay. So first of all, in creativity, picking up that King of Fire, picking up who you are in this. And you don't have to be a king, you don't have to be male. It's genderless. It's just that sort of energy of sort of the really self-actualized, creative person, leader, charismatic person. You have Saturn with that. And that's talking about, so it's the second chakra, which is creativity. And Saturn is discipline and structure. This is why I feel so many of you, this is about a move up in a workplace or in a business, something like that, something very structured around it, and taking on more responsibility, but bringing your creative energy to that fire and that passion and that intention, because creativity is primarily and originally about intention. So that's a really strong emphasis around it. And I think it does pick up that question. You don't have to do things just because you can. You do things because they are what are in your intent, and you have the responsibility and self-discipline to do that. The rest of it is about you becoming you, because we have the sun in both of these. So over here in the first chakra, so the root chakra, your survival, your foundation, who you really are, which I think goes back to the Three of Pentacles. This is all about having vitality, which, the King of Fire is sort of the epitome of vitality. It's part of who you are. You may feel this is about surviving. You may also feel, if you're involved in a lot of office politics, that it is a kind of a war field, but you light up with this. Pile 3. This is part of who you are. You are meant to lead. You are meant to be someone who takes that forward. And if it's about a relationship that hasn't worked out, then that is about you asserting who you are and about doing, because it is a matter of keeping that sense of vitality. The last relationship was probably very draining. There's something much better for you, much more solid for you. And that's, again, the self-discipline to not go back into the old patterns. It's all in the end for you, whether it's about work or whether it's about a relationship, about love, about your heart, about coming from your heart. And that's who you are. It's the essence of who you are. So this is a really powerful time for you, Pile 3, but a really positive one. It does look like you've been through some very dark energy, but you don't have to go back into it. You just don't. There is a better relationship, or there is a new leadership role. And in either dealing with the past or in the new leadership role, there's a little bit of need to keep a little bit of what you have as aces up the sleeve. But really, you have the discipline to do that, and this is really about you becoming who you are. So it's a very important thing. So if what you get with that moon reversed is something that's a bit discombobulating, don't let it put you off course. Everything is lining up for you, Pile 3. So I hope that resonates for you, and I hope it's helpful going over this period of time, and I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like and subscribe, and love to hear about it in the comments if it resonates for you. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 4, to your reading. So these cards are to give me a sense, firstly, about what is the issue that the Virgo new moon and its connection with Neptune and then Mars over this period of time is going to bring to the surface. What information are you going to see? What transformation or transition energy is here, and how best to use it? This is really interesting. This says to me that you are on the point of victory about something. You have put a lot of effort into something with the Nine of Fire or the Nine of Wands, and you have been slowly but surely building on an investment in whatever this is. So this could be anything. It could be a relationship, it could be career, it could be creativity. I feel for most of you it has something intrinsically to do with who you are in the world, because the Queen of Fire, Queen of Wands is there. So I do think for most of you it's less likely to be about a relationship and more likely to be about career, creativity, your personal brand. But if that doesn't resonate, and a relationship, you've been working on a relationship that's been kind of hard work, but you really feel it's worthwhile, then the good news is victory is just around the corner. You are just on the point of doing it. Certainly don't give up. Don't give up. You worry. You could worry for the Olympics, quite frankly, Part 4, and you see things as all that Virgo moon energy. When you go into the detail, you think about all the, the potential cracks in the edifice as opposed to how magnificent the edifice actually is. And so the main thing that Spirit wants you to know is to not get into that worried state, because you are so close to getting something that you've been aiming for. And the only thing that could derail you at the moment or slow you down is getting so much into that detail. So very much live in the Neptunian energy of the bigger picture, not in the details, because you've done the work. You can actually relax on that. Stop worrying about it. I feel it like waves coming off this, when with the Six of Fire, you are so ready to be recognized for what you do. And you're very charismatic, and you're drawing this energy to you. But it's like you could worry it away if you get caught in the details at the moment. Sometimes when you're on the point of victory, it's important to look at the details because of contracts and so forth. And certainly if there is a contract offered to you in this period of time, then do look into the detail. But look into it more from a Seven of Pentacles perspective. What is the benefit of this? What is the value proposition of it, and so forth? Don't worry so much. I think some of you are destined for great success, but you're kind of afraid of success. You're kind of, oh, am I going to be worthy? Am I going to be ready? The interesting thing about the Queen of Fire, the Queen of Wands, is in most packs you will see a cat. So it's usually a black cat. Now this is not in every pack, but that's a very traditional way it's shown in the Rider-Waite tarot pack. And the reason is it's like this self-actualized woman, which is what the Queen of Fire is. So you don't have to be a woman, but the self-actualized person. And the shadow, the person's shadow is with them with the cat, and it's there to remind them always of the shadow. So I think that this turning up here is saying you are this character, but your shadow is your capacity to pick away at. It's potentially perfectionism, but I think it's just also worry. It's like, and what you need to understand, Pile 4, I feel really agitated with this reading, I have to say. What you need to understand is that your capacity to manifest, to build investments, and that keep on keeping on energy, if you turn that in the direction of picking everything apart, then you can bring about a self-fulfilling prophecy of it not working. So don't kind of try and detach as much as you can from the Virgo side of this. Do not worry too much about that. You are so close. Just let this energy go through. Then by the time the moon gets to Mars, you can feel that energy with the fire. You can feel that the victory is so close. It's so close. Now, whether it's in the next few days or whether it's in the next few weeks or months, it's far closer than you think. And it's really starting to own that energy and understand that energy that Spirit wants you to do in this period of time. So let's ask for some clarifying advice about how to make sure that you don't go into that Nine of Swords energy, that you stay in this sort of fiery and earthy manifestation energy that's there. Oh, wow. Spirit's just doubling down on this, Pile 4. You are, like with the world there, you are so close to completing a cycle and having the victory. I mean, the world and the Six of Wands together, I mean, like really, that's your golden ticket, quite frankly. It's such a positive thing. And with the Ace of Fire, with the Queen of Fire, it's like you've developed to a particular point and now there's something else that you can birth into the world. This is just the beginning for you. Whatever this is, I feel it's really creative, really about who you are in some way. I feel like some of the people that come here, you may become famous, like whether again it's immediately or whether it's off the back of this, there is just such a sense of presence and in the world, like something that you're doing may be in the world. But at the very least, if it's not that, it's something that's very emotionally resonant to you, and something that probably also is incredibly emotionally resonant and healing to others. So that could be anything from something creative, a song that makes everybody feel better when they hear it, or a book that makes everybody cry but in a sort of cathartic release, or you could be working in some sort of therapeutic or spiritual area and you're sort of bringing a great deal of heart and love to what you do, but it's coming from who you are. Just don't worry about it. It's sorting itself out. I just think that Spirit really wants you to know that. It's very, very, your guides are very proud of you, and with good reason. It's just keep on keeping on. Don't let those 2-9 energies stick in this 9 energy, which is, yes, I can make it to the finish line, not this one where I can worry myself into, into a stalemate, because you don't need to do that. Everything is coming through for you. This is a very good period of time coming for you, pile 4. So let's look at the oracle cards. The first ones, interestingly enough, and I think will fit very much with this, are from a creative-based oracle, because I felt there was something inherently creative in this energy. Not necessarily it has to be a painter or a singer, but just that out of the balance of detail and the bigger picture is the birth of something creative, the birth of something new, which you're very much manifesting here. I should also say too, you're very much connected into the energy of this time, because Mars in Pisces, that's where it is at the moment. That's part of the energy around this. So let's have a look at what the creative oracle wants to tell you. Okay, so this time is all about identity for you, who you are, the Queen of Fire. You don't have to be a woman. That's sort of just that energy. And the person who can create, build, invest, birth new things, bring joy. It's all about who you are and owning who you are, not worrying about other people's views or the details or whatever. And communication, there is a lot. This is communication on steroids, actually, that I do feel many of you, it's something that a message that you take to people, and really focusing on that and how you communicate that energy helps to bring it into being. I'm also getting that some of you, if you are into things like ritual and magic and so forth, you could really help to manifest bringing things in just by communicating that desire to spirit, to your spirit guides and so forth, your spirit team, because there's a sense that you can almost sing something into being or talk something into being in a way. So what question does Spirit want you to ask during this period of time? So we've got the constellation of Cain's Venatici, I think. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. I'm just going to need to pick this up to read the question for you. What if you were strong enough to stand alone, but wise enough to accept the support of others? Okay, so maybe that's where maybe we're getting a little bit more information here. Maybe part of what worries you is whether or not you have to do it all yourself, or whether you can actually ask others for help. And that 10 of cups, the 10 of water there, would tell you that there are people around you who would help you if you wanted to, and it doesn't diminish your fire, it helps you bring it in. So I think maybe that's part of the communication too as well. So maybe you felt all your life you had to do everything yourself, and that's what makes you worry. At the end, will my team be around me? But I think this is saying that yes, they will. They're there for you. That the sort of the loyalty of dogs, so to speak, not to say your friends are dogs, but that loyalty energy. So to finish off this reading, I wanted to use the Astro Chakra Synergy cards just to see what other information Spirit wants to give you to get the best out of this time for you. Okay, so we've got communication again there. I'm going to jump to that one first. So we have the 6th chakra, which is the third eye, intuition, psychic sort of connections with people, that kind of thing, and Mercury, communication, expanding knowledge. I think there's a key in the communication here and being with others. I think that why we had the Ace of Wands there is that you are so close to a victory, and you will get that victory, I think, but it is the beginning of a new cycle, and I think you are going to draw people into your field, into your whatever it is that you do, and they're going to be the right ones. Like intuitively you'll know the right ones, and they help you because they bring other knowledge, they bring other ideas. It becomes collaborative, it becomes like the Gestalt, where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So I think that energy is coming in for you, and communication is going to be important. You have the generosity of Spirit with Jupiter, with the heart chakra, to be able to do that. In fact, if anything, I think you're someone who sort of feels like you shouldn't stand in the spotlight, like somehow that's egotistical. And I think Spirit is saying, no, it's not, and it's important because it's part of who you are. But the next stage of your journey, I think, Pile 4, will be collaborating with others who are kind of at your level. And there will be, there's a lot of happiness around people for you in this. But you will never lose your sense of self, because you have the third chakra here, you have the solar plexus chakra, the sense of self-empowerment, and again you have wisdom there. and you will be honourable. You are a very honourable person. If you're worried, if you've been stung by others before, and that's part of your worry, then your own honour and your own ability is going to take you to that first level of great success, whatever it is, and then you are going to draw better people in because you have the wisdom to do that. You have the wisdom to work out where to put that communication and who to connect with. So this is really, really positive, and I don't think that there's a lot of risk around premature action or anger that is misplaced or anything like that. So I think some of the risks around the astrological energy at the moment is not really there. I think this is just the one thing Spirit doesn't want you to do is get so caught in details and self-doubt that you don't see the magnificent progress you're making and what's coming in for you. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 4, and I hope that you enjoyed the reading. And if it does resonate, I'd love to hear about it because I think you really are on the verge of something really big. But as I say, it's only the beginning. If you did enjoy the reading, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And apart from that, I hope to see you in future readings.